This is your Friday lunch break. I'm Sarah Murray. The Clinton Foundation vowed to stay away from donations from foreign governments while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, but it still brought in a lot of cash from individuals with close ties to foreign governments. Wall Street Journal senior writer James Grimaldi has the details on today's Page One story. James, thanks for being here. So when we talk about individuals with close ties to foreign governments, what kind of people are we talking about here?
Well, in some cases, they would be people who advise government officials, or they could be former members of government bodies. We had found one person who had been a member of the Ukrainian parliament. We found another official who had been a member of the Greek parliament and a Greek ambassador. We also had someone who was a current member of the National People's Congress. His donation came right after Mrs. Clinton left the State Department, so it wasn't actually while she was there. But those donations, all the foreign donations, have raised some questions about whether it would pose conflicts of interest for her, even if she's elected president.
Right. It does sound like there's not a lot of daylight there between a lot of these individuals and the governments they're tied to. Do we have a concept of how much money we're talking about here?
Yeah, well, so we went through the list which is hard to do, actually, if you're a viewer of, if you look at their website. They list all of the donors, but we've spent a lot of time downloading it and parsing it. And so we identified 300 or 400 individual donors, and then looked at those, backgrounded each of them to see how many of them lived in or were citizens of foreign countries, and then looked into their backgrounds. Many of them were, of course, very wealthy, involved in various industries that are regulated by the government, some in which they're highly controlled. We had, for example, a Saudi sheikh who was involved with refining oil in Saudi Arabia, which of course is very important to the government. So we added it up and found between $35 million and $68 million had been donated while she was Secretary of State. In addition, they partnered with the Clinton Foundation for charitable projects around the world, amounting to another $60 million. That money didn't go directly to the foundation. It actually went to the projects, but the Clinton Foundation is given credit for coordinating those charity works.
Now, James, as you mentioned, she's been getting a lot of flack about these foreign donations. Of course, Hillary Clinton has been catching flack as well for her private email account. Do you think this latest finding is going to play into this narrative that Hillary Clinton doesn't really play by the spirit of the rules?
That's a good question, probably better posed to a political analyst. I think that I've heard a lot of analysts make that suggestion. And what's interesting is a lot of the criticism is coming from members of her own party, not so much the people inside the Beltway, but more people outside of the Beltway. I know our Peter Nicholas for the Wall Street Journal has contacted party chairman, county party chairman in states like Iowa and Ohio, where the feeling is that some of these stories will not play well with average rank-and-file voters, including Democrats.
Yeah, you could certainly see that being an issue for her. And what does the Clinton campaign or the campaign in waiting or her foundation have to say about this?
Well, the foundation says, look, you know, we're raising money for good works and we go to people who donate to other charities. These are often very, charitable people who like to give, and it really shouldn't deflect at all from the good works of the foundation. They said that if she runs for president, they'll probably put this limited ban. It's not a total ban, by the way, even when she was at the State Department. There were some exemptions that were built into the Memorandum of Understanding that she and her husband had with the Obama White House. And the one question that remains, though, for what she would do if she runs for president is who that agreement would be with. Previously, it was an agreement made with the Obama administration. This time, she's just going to make, I guess, a public promise, and it'll be up to the public and maybe other observers to determine whether she follows those rules.
Yeah, James, very interesting story. Thanks very much for joining us.